This video is about riding the trains in Italy and all the things you need to know before hopping on board. The absolute best way to get around Italy is by trains. It's not by cars, it's not by buses. Those can be very stressful. Trains are super relaxing, super efficient, and by the end of this video, you're gonna be very comfortable of how to navigate Italy by trains. Are the trains in Italy safe? Well, that really depends. Ask people that have been taken advantage of, they'd say no, but overall, I think the trains in Italy are very safe, especially if you just know a couple of things. Number one, it's only the major train stations that you really need to be worried about as far as pickpockets and those trying to take advantage of you. So when you get to those stations, be on high alert. You just need to be. And the best advice I give you is once you get to the station, know what you're doing. Don't try to go buy your tickets, find those kiosks, be distracted. It's just a bad idea. So use the app. Do all your purchases on the app. That way when you get to the train station, there's no need to go look for those kiosks, look lost, and not know what you're doing. If you're gonna go grab something to eat at the station, you can certainly do that. But what I do recommend you do is as soon as you can, get behind the ticketed section at the train stations. It's not a security, well, it's a security kind of checkpoint. They don't really go through a security checkpoint as much as checking to see if you have tickets. And if you show them you have a ticket, then you're allowed near the trains. And that's where I would suggest you go to, because once you get on the other side of the common area, there's still people there that could take advantage of it, but there's just fewer of them. And from there, you can go to the monitor and check to where your train's going to be, departing from and all that stuff. So it's just best to do that from the ticketed section, not from the unticketed section. Potentially, not having so many problems. The last thing I would say is on the trains, again, this is not super common. I don't want you to be super worried about this, but it does happen to people, unfortunately, every day, just not a lot of people. You just don't want this to happen to you because trust me, if it does, it will ruin your vacation. That is having your bag stolen. It could be a real bummer. So when you're on the trains, just make sure you know where your bags are at, and when the train stops, make sure nobody's walking off with your bags. That's good common sense. Unfortunately, it does happen sometimes, and you want to avoid that if possible. So pay attention when you're on the trains, pay attention when you're in those train stations, and you'll have a fun and great time riding the trains in Italy. The largest and most complete network of trains throughout Italy is Trenitalia. Trenitalia has been around for, I'm not really sure how long, but it's the main train service throughout Italy. Everybody took up until 2012. It was really the only option you had. And even today, it's by far the largest network of trains for high-speed rail, for regular. Trenitalia connects basically every city throughout the country. And in 2012, a new train service started called Italo, but Italo only services the high-speed rail. So it has only high-speed rail trains. So if you're on the Italo network, 100% of their trains are high-speed rail. Whereas on Trenitalia, it has high-speed trains as well as locals and all kinds of different trains to choose from. More about that later. But in general, there are two companies to choose from when you're in Italy. You have Trenitalia and you have Italo. And I'll explain the differences between both a little bit more in depth, but just to start with, I thought we'd get that out of the way. Those are your two options when traveling by train in Italy. Now let's talk about the types of trains you have to choose from on the Trenitalia network. There are several. To begin with, there's the Frecciarossa. That's the fastest train. It travels around 300 kilometers per hour. I don't know, that's around 185 miles per hour. And if you're interested in getting from point A to point B the fastest, that's what you want to take. However, it is limited to just mainly the larger cities in Rome. There's quite a few of them, but if you're going to a larger city like Milan, Florence, Venice, Rome, Naples, you can connect using the Frecciarossa fastest train service. The next service is Frecciargento. Now the Frecciargento trains are also very fast. They travel at around 250 kilometers an hour. I think that's somewhere around 150 miles per hour. And that connects even more cities. And then you have what they call the Frecciabianca. The Frecciabianca is not super common in some areas of Italy, and it's super common in other areas. Just depending on where you're at, you may run into quite a few of those, or you may not even see them. But the Frecciabianca trains travel at around 200 kilometers per hour, also very fast. And the other, or the last train we want to talk about, this is of the trains that are designed to travel long distances in Italy, is the intercity trains. Those travel quite a bit slower. Those are kind of travel at the same speed as the fastest regional trains, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But just for an example, from Rome to Venice on the Frecciarossa, the fastest train, it takes 3 hours and 58 minutes. And on the Intercity, it's around 8 hours and 30 minutes. So it's about double the time. It does stop at several different cities along the way, and it just travels slower, so it takes more time. Now, those trains are the 4 trains you have to choose from that are designed to travel large distances. Another thing I want to point out, all 4 of these trains have assigned seating. They all have Wi-Fi. They're all very comfortable, so they're wonderful trains. Even the slower ones, the intercity trains all the way to the Frecciarossa, all of them are fantastic trains. Now you have another train that's called a regional train. Now the regional trains are more designed to take you to the cities outside of the popular cities, all the small towns, and many of the large cities as well, but it basically connects all of the cities. So if you're taking a regional train, just think of it as you're taking them to explore different towns within a region. You can take it all the way across the country. It's not super great because it is kind of slow, and the trains do not have Wi-Fi, and they do not have an assigned seat. So it's just first come, first serve. So whenever you're on a regional train, especially in peak season, you want to arrive to that train early so you can be sure to get a seat in it. But that's kind of the rundown of the types of trains. Now, one thing I want to point out about the regional trains, even the regional trains, they are not all equal. Some of them are very slow, meaning they stop at basically every small town along the way, and others are more direct. So when you're on the app, be sure to check the amount of time, total amount of time it's going to take to get from point A to point B, and then select the appropriate train that you want to take. And the prices vary depending on, the speed of the train for the most part and the comfort of the train. There's just different classes of trains. And within each train, there are also different classes of seating. So there's the standard class, the business class, there's even the executive class, which is super nice. But it's pretty pricey as well, but it's available for you. And that is basically on the higher speed trains, but on the regional trains, those do not have classes. I think everything, there might be some that have classes. I take that back. There might be some, but pretty much it's first come, first serve. That's a good question. I need to look that up. But I don't remember there being classes on the regional trains. I just remember those being kind of, wherever you get on, you get on. But I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. Anyway, that's kind of gives you a rundown of the types of trains that you have to choose from. There are quite a few of them on the Trenitalia network, and there's one to fit every budget. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you how to save a ton on the high speed, the Frecciarossa trains. If you do it right, you can actually get those for less than the regional trains. If you're interested in supporting our channel, there's a few ways you can do that. You can share this video with your friends, maybe others that are heading to Italy. You can purchase and buy us a gelato. We love gelato. We love pizza. Buy us a slice of pizza. Or you can simply purchase our travel guide. Our travel guide has over 10 hours of helpful videos, a 65-page plus PDF, lots of information in it. It has interactive maps to help you locate the best gelaterias, restaurants, pasticcerias, hotels, Airbnbs, and so much more. It's kind of like the opposite of travel insurance. Travel insurance is to protect you when things go wrong. Our guide is to protect you from things going wrong. Quite a big difference. We really do want you to have a great time in Italy. Be sure to check it out, and I'll leave a discount code where you can pick it all up for less than $30. Now let's talk about validating your tickets. Validating your tickets only applies to regional trains. If you're on the Frecciarossa, Frecciargento, Frecciabianca, or the Intercity trains, all of those trains have assigned seats. You do not need to worry about validating them, whether you have that ticket on the app or a paper ticket. But if you have a paper ticket for the regional trains, you will need to find a little machine. They're usually located near the trains that you're going to stick your ticket into. It'll stamp it, validating it, making it so it can't be used in the future. So that's where you're going to need to validate your tickets. And that's also a good reason why you should just purchase all your tickets through the app, Trenitalia. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to locate those machines, making it much, much easier. Now, here's one thing I want to point out about the regional trains. If you book a time on a regional train, let's say you are planning to leave the train station at 8 a.m. and you're running late and you get there at 8:30 or whatever, and the train has left. Well, you can still hop on the next train on the regional trains as long as you're hopping on the same class of train, same destination. You can just use that same ticket. It'll carry forward. You have up to 4 hours to complete that journey with those regional trains. That's kind of what that is. And if you're already on the train and it takes more than 4 hours to get to your destination, don't worry, that's still good. But that's how that works. But one thing you can't do is have a time on your train. Let's say it's a 10 o'clock a.m. departure. You get there at 9 and you think, well, let's get on the earlier train. Well, that doesn't work. So you will be fine because that ticket will not be valid. The main reason is because they want to prevent people from taking advantage of the system. What you could do, in theory, is you could be on the train without a ticket, and then you see a conductor coming and you hurry up and purchase. You're on let's say an 8 a.m. train, and you hurry up and purchase a 10 a.m. train and tell the conductor, well, I just got on the earlier train. And that's why that doesn't work, because you can see how people could take advantage of that. And so you have to be on those trains, not earlier, but later. But the good news is if you do have a regional ticket the prior day before, the day you're supposed to travel, you can go on the app and change the date if you want to. And on the day of the departure, let's say you just can't get there, you want to move it till the afternoon, you could also do that on the app free of charge. It only applies that if you miss the train and it's already left and you haven't, arranged to change that departure time, that is when you have 4 hours to complete that. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to cut it close to a train station, my suggestion would be to go ahead and book the earlier time, thinking if you get there, that's great. If you don't, you can always hop on the next one. And there's typically trains departing from most stations, regional trains, at least once an hour or so, some of them more than that. But if it's a, unfortunate situation where there's not that many trains, that might not be great advice, but I hope I don't mess you up. But you kind of get the idea. So that's how those all work. And that's that. Overall, in Italy, trains typically run on time, but it's not uncommon for some trains, maybe 30% of the time, trains do run 5, 10, 15 minutes late. And when you're at the station, it's easy to look on the monitor and see if your train is running behind. It will show you a 5 with a little asterisk by it, indicating that it's running 5 minutes behind or 10 minutes behind. And if you ride trains long enough in Italy, you're going to come across a strike or some other issue where trains really run behind, sometimes by hours, not by minutes. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. It doesn't happen super often, but it happens often enough to where, you hear stories. But overall, trains run on time. I suggest you arrive to the train station, especially if it's your first time in the train station, at least 30 minutes before your train departs. When you get to the train station, Hopefully you've already purchased your tickets. You did that on the app. You don't have to worry about walking around the station looking for the ticket office or those kiosks. Trust me, you really don't want to do that, especially in the larger train stations in Italy, because there are pickpockets and other people that want to take advantage of you. It's better just to avoid that, have your purchase completed on the app, and walk directly to the monitors, and then look for your train. When you're looking at the monitors, there's a couple of things you need to know. First is, do not look at where your destination is. So if you're traveling from Rome to Naples, the train may be going on to Salerno. So it would say Salerno, not Naples. So sometimes that can be confusing. You want to look at your train number. The easiest way is to just figure out when your train departs. Let's say your train departs at 11:50 a.m. You're going to look on the board for those trains that are departing around 11:50 a.m. There are only maybe 2 or 3, and then it makes it a lot easier. And then you just confirm the train number, and it'll show you the track that will be departing from. Typically that shows up 5, 10, 15 minutes before departure. Not much sooner than that, because it is kind of a way they keep the trains on time. They don't assign the tracks until the train is basically on approach, making it, kind of last minute thing. But once they have your track, what you're going to want to do is you want to kind of walk fairly quickly to the train, especially if you have a lot of luggage, because those trains can fill up. There are quite a lot of storage bins above the seats and in the racks, but believe it or not, especially in peak season, the amount of storage that they have, while it's extensive, can also not be enough. So you want to be able to put your bags away, and getting to that train and getting situated, especially if you have bags, can make a difference between finding a place for your luggage and trying to, put it all over the place, which is not a good idea. So that's my advice. Get to your tracks as quickly as you can. Now, on the tickets, especially, not so much on the regional, but on all of the other trains we talked about, it's going to tell you the track that it departs from. Let's say it's track 7, but you're also going to have a carriage, a carrozza. And as you walk down the aisle, you're going to see monitors that will show you the carriage that you stand in front of, even if the train's not there. It's going to say, it's coming in, and you'll be at the carriage number 5, and you walk below the sign that says carriage number 5. And that way, when the train arrives, you'll be right at the right carriage, making it super easy. So if the train's already there, it's easy, because you can walk down and look at the train, and each of the doors have a number on them, designating the carriage or the coach that you're in. So that's that, and hopefully that's helpful. But yeah, I guess that's that. Now I'm going to show you how you can save a lot of money using the high-speed rail, the Frecciarossa service through Trenitalia. In some cases, you can get it cheaper than the regional trains, and let me show you. For example, we're going to open up the app here, and we're going to make a very simple request. We're going to go from Rome, let's say Rome here, to Naples, going out the next day. Let's confirm that, and it'll kind of give us an idea of the trains, of the costs. This is for the next day service. There aren't any discounts when you go out, just the next day, but it kind of gives you an idea here. So when you look on here, you're going to see a regional train. This is actually a pretty good price, but it takes 3 hours and 22 minutes. It's only $13.65, 13 euros and 65 cents one way. But if you look at the Frecciarossas, there's one at 52, another at 58. There's an Intercity that's sold out, and those are pretty good. So that kind of gives you a base. They're around 50-ish euros, a little more than that, for a high-speed train on the Frecciarossa. Let's go out several weeks, because the way this works is every train has so many discounts available. There's a discounted train, a super discount, there's all kinds of promotions, but every one of them do require a advance purchase. They aren't available the day of. Some of them require a 3 or 4 day minimum, others a week minimum, but once they sell out, they're out. So in order to get the biggest discount, sometimes you need to go out more than 2 or 3 weeks. So in this example, let's go out at least 3 weeks, so that way, I can show you the difference in the thing. And if you've got let's go the 22nd, that's good. 2 weeks. Oh, well, that's almost 3 weeks. So here you have, now you can see the Frecciarossa coming up. You can get one at $22.90. This is leaves at 1:25 p.m. and it takes an hour and 8 minutes to get there. You've got the regional. Now the regionals don't have a discount whether you purchase those the day of or into the future. The only thing is you can just hop on and get it. But those are still pretty expensive, or still pretty cheap, $13.65, same as before. But if you go down, you see another one at $22.90 for the Frecciarossa. You see an Intercity here. Now this is actually a pretty good deal. The Intercity is a very comfortable train. It's got assigned seating. It's got the Wi-Fi. It does it in 2 hours and 8 minutes for about an hour longer. But honestly, when you're on the train, it's kind of enjoyable. And you can get down to Naples for $14.90, which is a great deal, honestly. And it's still a very comfortable train. That's cheaper than, or almost as cheap as that regional that takes 3 hours and a much worse train. So you kind of get the idea. By purchasing your tickets in advance, you can save a ton. Now, there is some risk in that because a lot of these discounted trains, they're kind of use it or lose it. There are some refunds and different things you need to read before purchasing it. How, whether you can transfer that or whether you can change the time and date. But typically speaking, they are kind of use it or lose it tickets with some exceptions. Just be aware of that if you're traveling and you're going to have to be in Naples because you got hotels there and those are already confirmed. It doesn't hurt to have those booked well in advance. But if you're just thinking of doing a day trip or something like that and you're not set on the date, maybe you want to do that at the last minute. And yeah, so that's how you save a ton using high-speed rail. High-speed rail is awesome. It really is not that expensive, especially if booked, well in advance. And then there's other discounts. You can become a member and they'll send you out promotional codes. So once you sign up for the app, you'll get these promotional emails where you can put in a promo code and it'll save an extra 20% or whatever. But again, it's off of advanced purchases, not next day. There's never any discounts for next day, even 2 or 3 days out. Typically never any discounts for that. It's always purchases into the future. One thing I forgot to mention, it's a fairly new program. It's called T-Rimborso. It's a reimbursement program for those discount tickets we talked about, earlier on the video. So if you are purchasing a discounted ticket, many times, you can't change anything, nothing. It's kind of use it or lose it. However, if at checkout you have an option to pay, it depends on the discount you're getting. It's €1 or €2, hardly anything. And if you cancel that within 2 days prior to your departure, you can request for a refund and they'll refund 90% of that back to you. It won't change the dates and things like that. But again, if you get in a pinch, you can't make the train, you're 2 days out, you can get that refund. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned another train company called Italo. Now, Italo is just a high-speed only train company. They have no other trains. They have one train. It's fast. It's the 300 kilometers per hour high-speed rail. And it does not service anything that Trenitalia doesn't, so you're not gaining anything there. The real reason you may want to take a Italo train over a Trenitalia train is it's typically just a little bit less expensive, maybe 10-15% less expensive than the Trenitalia network. That's really the only difference. The trains are very comfortable. They're very much similar as far as the quality of the train. I would say that the Italo train, if you want additional food on the train while you're there, they have vending machines, where the Trenitalia actually have a dining car, which, can be a little bit nice to be able to get up out of your seat, walk down to the dining car and grab something to eat. It may be limited what it serves, but there's that option, so that's kind of nice. But those are the main two differences. Everything else about the trains is pretty much on par with each other. They're just as fast, they're just as good. So just keep that in mind. But again, if it's your first time to Italy, you may just want to stick to the Trenitalia app because it's just easier. You're not having to have two apps on your phone or having to juggle between two or figure out how to use two different apps. You just worry about the one, have everything in one spot, and make it super simple. Now let's talk about some of the bulk travel discounts. You may have heard of the Eurail Pass, and there's also a Trenitalia Pass. And if you're going to be traveling by train in Italy, these may be a good deal. First, let's look at the Eurail Pass. So if you go into their website, the way it works is you get so many travel days within a specified period. It's usually 30 days. So here you can pick 3 days within 30 days, and on a travel day, you can use the trains as much as you want. These are the regional trains. For the high speed, you do have to pay a booking fee. It's 10 euros. I believe for most routes, it's 10 euros. So keep that in mind. So for 3 days at 146 US dollars, which is a little less in euros, you're gonna be able to travel for 3 days in the 30-day period. And you can travel as much as you want on that day, take trains all day long if you want. But each time you book a high-speed rail, you're gonna have to pay that extra fee. And they have for 5 days, 8 days. So you kind of have to figure out, if you're gonna be traveling large distances, it may make a lot of sense for you to do that. But anyway, it's convenient and you can pick that how you want to as far as those days. And this is the Eurail Pass for just Italy. There are other Eurail passes that include, all the European countries, or most of them anyway, and they're gonna obviously be a little bit more expensive. Now there's also a pass that is by Trenitalia. This one I kind of like. This one here includes the high-speed trains, all the Freccia trains, the intercity trains, and what it is, it's so many trips in a specified period of time. For example, you can do 3 trips in 7 days, 4 trips in 7 days, 7 in 15, or 10 in 30. So each time you take a trip, let's say you want to go from Rome to Venice, well, you just book it. It includes everything. You don't pay anything more. You can book that train. You do have to get a reservation, but it's included on your pass. And the trip would be, 10 times 35 euros. So it's basically 35 euros a trip. Now that's going each way, so you're going to also have to book a trip coming back. So you can look at it like this. If you're basing from like Rome and you want to do day trips, each time a round trip, you get 5 round trips. You could go to Florence and then come back, go to Bologna, then come back, go to Naples, come back, go to Venice and come back, and so forth. That's how that works. I think that's a pretty good fare. Now, if I was booking these in advance, I could probably get it a little bit less expensive than the 35, especially, when I'm looking at Florence or Napoli. But the difference is here, I don't have to book these in advance or plan in advance. I can, do it the next day and say, hey, you know what? I feel like heading up to Naples for the day or wherever, making the flexibility really nice. And so that's one of the biggest advantages of having one of these passes is the flexibility. You still get pretty good discounts and you can just be very flexible opposed to having to, purchase those weeks in advance to get that discount. So again, if you're going to be in Italy for, let's say 2 weeks, this 7 trips in 15 days is probably a pretty good deal, So anyway, that's how those passes work. Both of them are good options. I personally like the Trenitalia option the best. And there you have it. If you're heading to Rome soon, I just did a video about some of my favorite tips, advice, and warnings. Lots of great information that can help you. I promise, check out that video. It's coming up right now.